Hello, great to see you. We have tea. We have fairies. We have dolls' houses, dioramas and miniatures. We have slow stitching, calm, mindful, chilled, joy, share, quiet. Welcome to Helen Kitty Cat Crafts. Hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to DIY My Chateau Part 20. And today we're back on to painting the wall. Do you remember we made it in a couple of videos back? It's nice and dry. So we're going to make a dark grey as a base coat. So a little bit of black and some pale grey, because for some reason I can't find my Payne's grey. That's fine, this will work just as well. Give it a bit of a mix. Lovely. Grey's a good base colour for lots of things. Now I'm not sure whether there's a right or wrong way to do this, but I like to start with the dark base coat and then add the lighter colours onto the top. So I'm going to skip a bit here because you don't want to sit and watch me paint lots of bits of wall. And while that's drying, they're all done, I'm going to paint these. These are anything to do with wall. These are rivets for a different part of the house. So we're just going to take off the rough edges. They're made out of clay, the same. Do you see? So they're going to be like rivets. They look a bit like mince pies, don't they? But no, they're going to be rivets for the dome. And we're going to paint them gold. I love this gold. It's so rich and creamy. And it's got a really good depth of colour. Look at that. Perfect. Let's get started. Here we go. Bring you in a bit. I quite like how these have turned out. Simply, I used the head of a screw. Pushed the screw into the clay and then cut the clay around the screw head and then just left them to dry, which is why they're a little bit rough around the edges. But I think they're going to look really effective on the dome. Well, it's not really a dome, it's more of a turret. But let's not split hairs. One's got a point, one usually hasn't. Not very circular. But hey, that's another story. So we're going to paint all of these gold. Now, this is going to be a messy job. So I think I might just go off and do them, listen to a bit of music, and I'll catch you in a bit. And we're back, and they're all done, nice and shiny, and the wall's dry, so we can start on the next part. Now I have got dark brown, sand colour, little bit of the gold, white. We're missing something. I'll get that later. So we're going to add some detail. We're going to add just a few little bits of mortar for in between the stones, and we're going to paint that in the sand colour. Not too much, and it might look a bit harsh right now, but it won't do when it's finished. But just not all of the mortar, not all of the grooves, just a few bits here and there. And then I will use the other colours with a dry brush to add several different layers of colour, because it's all about adding texture. So walls aren't flat, are they? No. So it's just about sitting here quietly, enjoying the painting. By dry brushing I mean dip the paint in the brush. Now it needs to be a thicker brush, and it needs to be stiff, and just dipping it into the paint and then dabbing that onto some kitchen roll and just very lightly dusting over the top, and the risen areas will pick up the paint, and the bits that are not risen, so in effect the mortar, won't pick up much of the colour at all, unless you've got too much paint on your brush, and then it will. And it's just about adding little tiny layers of paint, letting it dry, adding more, letting it dry, adding more, and that just builds up the texture effect. Now, I am by no means brilliant at this. I'm still learning, but I am getting better. And I actually really enjoy this technique. I find it quite relaxing to just sit here and just enjoy the time. So we're using green to replicate verdigris, moss, whatever you want to call it, on the rocks, because obviously walls are outside, it rains, they get wet, there's moisture, and algae, moss grows. And by no means, painting is not the end of the line for these walls. They've got a few other processes to go through first, but this is definitely the next stage for me. I like these walls. I like how they've turned out, or turning out. Nice little dwarf walls. Not sure if they would have had dwarf walls with a chateau in 1700s, but who cares? and just making it up as I go along. And these walls, these dwarf walls, are going to have a little picket fence onto the top of them, and that is going to go around the lawn. That is, do you remember in front of the conservatory? Gosh, that's going back a few videos. I put a conservatory on the side of the house, which I haven't done anything with yet, apart from paint it and glue it together. And in there, I am going to put plants and possibly a seating area, not quite sure. But I want a wall to go around the garden. As Harmony said, keep the riffraff out. So yeah, we're just building the wall up slowly. These things take time. It's not a quick process. Definitely learnt a lot of patience doing this project. A little bit more of the sand colour. These are just acrylic paints that I had laying around, a lot of them. Apart from the sand coloured one, which is a Vallejo, and I bought that new. The rest of them are ones that I've just had laying around because I aren't going to throw paint away when it's perfectly good and there's nothing wrong with it. And I have a big old box of acrylic paints, most of them unopened, most of them fairly new, because we do a lot of crafting in our house, and so we do buy stuff fairly regularly. Waste not, want not. I like to recycle as much as I can of everything. So I'm using the colours that I've got, and when they've run out, we'll buy some more. I've been looking into the best different types of acrylic paint for dioramas and modelling, and some say Army Painter, some say Vallejo. I'm not quite sure, and it's just a case of I think I'm going to buy whichever colour I like at the time, regardless of brand. Although I must say, I've been using the Vallejo, the sand colour, and I am quite impressed with it. It's got quite a good depth of colour to it, and quite a good consistency. And so, yeah, I would definitely give them a go. So these need to be left to dry. So this is a day later. They have been drying for 24 hours, and now we're going to begin sticking them together. So I'm going to use contact adhesive, impact compact adhesive. This particular one is Evo Stick. There's many on the market. And I'm going to sand the edges to make sure that there's a good key for the glue, and take off any powdery bits that are left. And then we're going to stick them together. Now, yes, that is a crisp packet on my acrylic sheet, purely because I don't want to get contact adhesive on my acrylic sheet, because I use them for painting and things. And crisp packets, believe it or not, are brilliant for contact adhesive because it just peels straight off and it doesn't mark it, nothing sticks, you know. It doesn't leave a colour or a stain. So there's a good use for crisp packets. Good excuse for having a packet of crisps, isn't it? As if we need an excuse. Gosh. And these were particularly nice crisps as well. So, we're just going to glue all the bits together. But you don't need to see me do all that, do you? Let me turn you off for a minute and then I'll come back to you. So we're back and I'm just doing the last bit. I think it looks quite effective. I mean, it's not finished yet. But we'll stick this down and then we're going to leave it again another 24 hours just to make sure that it all goes off. Just need to do this last part with the post. Give it a quick sand. Push that in. A bit of glue there, take that off. And there we have it. What do you think? As I say, still needs some more work. Before I go, I'm just going to pop a little bit of filler into the joints between the different parts, just because it'll look that little bit tidier, that little bit more finished. And then obviously this will need to dry overnight again. Who knew that doing just a little wall like this would take so long? It's all the bits in between the drying and the sanding and that takes the time. Can't rush it though. This is just normal household filler that you would use if you were decorating your own house. Nothing special about it, just plain white, cheap filler. Although I do buy ready mixed, I don't mix my own. Add a little bit of texture to it because I don't want it totally flat, because that would just look silly. And there we go. A little bit in there. A little bit of texture to it. Not too much, just enough so that it actually aesthetically matches the wall rather than just a lump of filler. I know I will need to go back and match the paint and repaint over it. That's fine. I haven't put the last coat of paint on yet, which is why I'm doing this now, so that it can dry, and then by the time I get around to doing the last coat of paint, I can just paint over the filler at the same time, and then it will be a continuation and it will all match. Almost there. I hope you've all had a great day. I hope you've all had a great week. I hope you've all had a creative week. Gosh, we're into September already. I don't know about you, since September come around, the weather's been shocking. We've had thunder and lightning and rain. Bit of a shock because summer was quite hot and quite dry. And then as soon as September hit, boom. And of course all the schools and colleges are back now, aren't they? So, what do you think? Yeah? Let's add a little bit more moss effect to it. A little bit more colour with a little bit more dry brushing. Again, very lightly, not using much paint at all. What would we do without good old kitchen roll? A little bit more here and there. Yep, I like that. I really like how this is turning out. Quite impressed myself. You know, you have a vision in your head, and it's getting it from your head onto the actual thing, isn't it? But yeah, I think I'm definitely going in the right direction. So what do you think? I'm quite proud of that. And now it all needs to dry. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for stopping by. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.